Welcome to TA Outdoors. I'm here in a large forest in the county of Hampshire in England. I need to walk just over a mile to get to my camp spot, set up shelter, get a fire going and try and stay sheltered from the elements. I've put together a mid-range bushcraft setup, which I'll talk about in a bit. But first things first, I've got a decent hike to get to the camp spot. Come and join me. That's the forest that I could see on the drone. Lovely yellow colours, it looks like silver birch trees, it looks very dense. There should be plenty of resources there. Let's go and check it out. This is it. I made it to the birch woodland. Look at the lovely colours here. It's absolutely beautiful. I'll switch the microphone because it's quite windy and I don't want it to be really annoying for you guys with the wind noise. The problem is it's so dense, it's going to be hard to find a spacious enough area to set up a shelter. So I'm going to have a little scout around, find two trees that are good enough distance apart and then get my shelter set up. So I think I've found my two trees amongst the very dense other trees. There's this one here, and then this one here. They might be a little bit too close together, but we'll see. Let's get the shelter set up. So this is the backpack and the kit that I've put together for around about 200 to 250 pounds. Now it's not a total full loadout, but it is the majority of the basics that you need. And remember, this is all about good quality gear that's not super high end and that's not really cheap rubbish stuff. It's kind of the intermediate, middle of the range gear that's good quality and would hopefully last a while. There are a few exceptions, and that is the sleeping bag. This is not part of the kit because it's a very subjective thing and I don't want to be cold at night, so I use a good quality sleeping bag. If you cheap out on a sleeping bag, especially this time of year, you're going to have a pretty rubbish night. So that's one thing that I wouldn't cheap out on. That's one thing that's not part of the kit. For the shelter, I'm going to be using a tarp. Now there's such a huge range of tarps out there. There's the higher end ones, which are like £100 plus, the lower end ones, which are the cheap, £10, and this is a middle of the range one. Let's set it up. I think it's 3 by 3 meters, but it's good enough quality that it's got a good hydrostatic head. And this is the important bit, if I don't fall over, really good, strong, double stitched tie up points. That's so key when you want a good quality tarp that's going to last. I've got to retile the guy lines to the tarp. But also this tarp has decent pegs, not those rubbish thin toothpick ones. This actually has some quite decent storm pegs. Again, I think that's quite important. Loads of guy lines here, so we're gonna have to sort this mess out before we get the tarp up. So I've just sorted the guy lines out and it looks like there's 2 really long guy lines and then 6 short guy lines. So there's no ridge line as such. They've all got the plastic adjustable toggles on them for the tension of the tarp. So I'm probably going to have to use one of the longer ones to make a ridge line and we might have to join them together. I think we'll be okay with one. First, let's see if the tarp will fit in between these trees. No, I think we're good. Oh, something might actually work out for a change. Normally, I'm constantly adjusting it. I'm going to go quite low with the ridge line, so I'm going to have a fairly low tarp shelter. So we're going to improvise a bit here. There's a loop. This is your classic guy line with the plastic toggle. I've just adjusted it so there's a loop about that big. I'm going to wrap this around the tree, put this spare end of the working end of the cord through and make a loop through the loop, push the stick through there and then cinch down tight. There we go. Now let's run this to the other tree. Literally just fits between the trees. Okay, for the knife, I've gone for a really simple halter forge knife. It's the OK4 outdoor knife. Quite a nice little knife to be fair. It's got that nice rubberized grip. It's actually got some markings there, which is like a scale of 1 inch It's like 25 to 50 millimeters, so 1 inch to 2 inch. And it is, for those wondering, carbon steel. Now it does arrive in the package actually quite blunt. I personally would sharpen that at home, but we're going to just roll with it because all I need it for at the moment is to chop a little bit of cordage off this to make some prusik loops, because I've got nothing. So I'm going to cut off 2 pieces about this long. If you want to see how to tie all the knots, watch my last video. I'm just going to feed that loop. It will just about fit that knot. Is it going to fit? Oh, it might not. It might not fit, in which case we're going to have to tie the knot around the eyelet, which I've never done before. I never needed to, but we'll do it. Put the eyelet through there and tie it off. Right, that's one tarp piece attached. Got to do the same again. Untie the prusik loop, feed it through the eyelet and then retie it. Now I can tension the tarp like that against each other with these knots. Now I'm just going to peg up the back. So for the front, I'm just going to add 2 of these guy lines. And these are easier because it's just straight through. I'll just do a double slip knot for now. Tie this one out. I'm going to tie it a little bit higher so there's a bit of runoff if the rain does come. Right, and then the other side. Perfect. Plenty of room, and it's quite a heavy duty tarp. Another thing to note about this cordage is that it's got the reflective material in it, which is very handy for when it gets dark and the head torch is on and I can find camp at night. So that's shelter set up. It has started to rain, not a lot. I've just noticed it starting to bead on the tarp itself. So it's kind of a misty rain. It is due to rain on and off throughout the night. So everything's already soaked on the forest floor, but there's so many resources here in terms of firewood. But I am gonna get my saw out and just prep stuff that's a little bit bigger. And I need to get to some of the drier wood too. Pretty overcast day. Overcast, windy, rainy, your typical autumn day here in England. Right, saw-wise, I have got this mossy oak. This was a cheap saw, but it's got great reviews. I've actually used these before. There's a spare blade. There's 2 spare blades in here. They're for different types of wood though. The teeth are different on them. I think one's for green wood, one's for metal. It's got really, really fine teeth. So 2 spare blades and then this anodized larger tooth blade. And it's nice. It's got a nice ergonomic handle, easy to use release catch. Let's cut some wood. Luckily, loads of dead wood at the back of the shelter. Despite only being a short blade, it should be able to batten through this wood. Yep, easy enough to get the exposed dry wood. Birch is great for this. Lovely straight grain. There you go. You can generally tell if you can batten a knife pretty heavily if it's got a nice thick spine here, and if that thick spine continues to a short, not so pointy tip, then you know you've got a lot of strength in the blade. That's what I've found personally anyway. So it's a short, dumpy blade, but it's very stocky, so it can take a bit of a beating. I say it's blunt, it's not blunt, it's just not so sharp. It needs to be sharper. But actually it does feather sticks quite well. Rain is stopping play. Right, let's test out the axe. So this is the Fiskars X7. I've got the smaller one, I think it's the X5, a little kind of tiny hand hatchet. It's not your traditional looking bushcraft axe, but these are brilliant for the price. There's also a bigger version as well, but they grip in your hands really quite nicely. Let's see how this one splits. Makes that funny sort of hollow noise. See how it splits long ways. Quite a soft log. Easy. It's not the best wood to split. What I do like about it is this nice bright orange handle, although it is blending in a bit in this woodland. Right, so we've got our firewood prepped, cut up, time to light it. And for that, I got this. I think this is actually pretty cool for what you get for your money. So inside this is two things: fire steel and a piece of fat wood that's attached. They've drilled through it. This is great. This has hundreds, if not thousands of lights for a fire. Just need to shave some dust off it. And there's the striker and the fire steel in this little handy case. That's all we need to light a fire. So I'm surrounded by birch trees, Betula pendula, depending on where you live. And these are a bushcrafter's dream. If ever I see these, I pretty much know that I'm going to be able to get a fire going. It's an absolute godsend, certainly when it's wet weather. The bark is full of resinous oils, which is highly flammable, and it just peels off really easy like that. You don't want to peel and wring the whole tree of bark because it will kill it. So I just take little bits off each tree, and I've got plenty of trees to work away on. But this stuff goes up really well. Here's a classic example. This stuff is actually slightly thicker and redder in colour. There's more resin in this one. This is ideal. See how red that is? This is prime stuff. It only peels off in small amounts. Some trees you can get whopping great bits off. That's what you want, that stuff. Boom. This is already dead, this tree. It's been totally, look, squirrels have damaged it all the way up there. They've ringed it. So it's totally dead. There's nothing on the top. So we can harvest as much as we want from this one, which I will. Thank you, nature. I've cleared an area about one big step away from my tarp, so it's not directly underneath it. And the ground is soaking wet. Just going to put a fire lay here. Where I've split open this wood, this is all the dry inner wood. Whenever it's soaking wet, certainly here in the UK, one of the best ways to get a hot fire going early is splitting open wood and getting to that dry inner wood. Obviously you can just use twigs and sticks straight up, no problem, which I will do in a minute. But a nice fire lay there. That's ideal. Got my birch bark there. Now let's get some twiggies. And I'll make an X like that, because then I can lift and lower my fire. I've got some birch bark down just here, and I'm going to try and put the scrapings of the fat wood into that, so it's like a little ashtray. Right, got the birch bark. I've cleared the coating off. Okay, now try and get some of this lit. Oh, put it out. it's really, really wet. That's why it's curling up super fast and then putting it out. Wow, it's getting dark. I feel like it's going to rain. Here comes a wind. It's the wind that's putting it out. Interesting. Right, we'll try again, but this time I'm gonna have these sticks ready and maybe try and light the sticks straight away, because the birch bark seems to be a bit wet. See, there we go. There we go. I think if we can get a couple of these twigs to light, we'll be away. I think we're there, folks. We have fire. Right, in terms of food, I'm keeping it very simple. But what I've got is everything for dinner in this pot. There's the lid. So there's the sauce, sausage, and pasta. All fits in the pot. The idea is to make use of the early flame. Normally, if I'm cooking a longer meal, I'd get a big fire going and get some hot coals and just cook on the coals. But I didn't have that luxury today, because the food I'm cooking is only basic. So by doing it this way, I don't have to get a huge fire. There we go. So another thing, when I'm boiling water like this on a stick and a pot, and I'm using the early flame, I tend to make this kind of log cabin style stack, this square. And that way what it does is it creates a draw that shoots the flame up through the middle of the fire. So it's kind of creating like a concentrated heat, rather than have just your normal standard open campfire where the heat spreads and radiates. This one is a bit more for boiling water quickly. I use it at home for my wood stove. Some of you guys might use it for when you're stacking your wood stoves at home. You make a square shape, like Jenga, a Jenga fire. You're stacking the logs, and this is really easy and a good way of boiling water quickly in a pot like this. You can just make that square, and the air draft, you can see it just gets sucked up through the middle of the fire and shoots the flame out through the top. Steaming, looks like we must be boiling. This is the bit where I don't want to burn myself. While my food's cooking, I just want to say a big shout out to today's sponsor, which is Original Grain. Original Grain is a watchmaking company that combines steel and reclaimed materials that doesn't just tell the time, but they tell the stories through the unique reclaimed materials that they're made from. For example, the watch that I have on today has been made by reclaimed whiskey barrels that have been charred by fire. Each watch comes in a wooden display box, and the watches themselves are made with meticulous attention to detail, which feature a quality Japanese movement. What I like is that they give back to society, whether it be through donations to veterans with PTSD, removing plastic from the oceans, or planting trees. Another cool thing is that Original Grain is set up by two brothers who are also very keen outdoorsmen like myself. They're into camping, fishing and hunting. And the guys have offered $50 off your watch if you order from their website using the code TA Outdoors. I'll put a link in the description below. Thanks Original Grain for sponsoring this episode. I think food is ready. The great thing about this particular pot is it has a strainer. So if I just hold the lid on, it should strain all the water out without having to keep the pasta from falling out. First things first, got the sausage. Probably only going to need half of it. This is the type of sausage that you can eat cold, by the way. And then, like I say, we're going for convenience today. Just to stir in pasta sauce, tomato and basil and garlic. Don't have to worry about reheating it. It's kind of it just stirs in. That's what it says on the tin. This is just to fill a hole, folks. No gourmet cooking tonight, but I am hungry. Sat right in the smoke here, not ideal. Oh, it's perfect temperature. This is kind of classic camping food from when I was a kid. Just pasta and tomato sauce, and that was it. A bit of meat, maybe ham or something like that. That was my staple camping meal when I was younger. We've got maybe 40 minutes of daylight left. The sun's already set, so I think it's going to get dark in, yeah, half an hour, 40 minutes. Got to get my bed set up. I might have to prop a stick under the tarp because it's quite a big tarp and it's going to sag in the middle here. And if it rains, it's just going to sit and pool on top of that tarp. So I definitely need to get a stick to raise up. It's not cold tonight, hence the rain, but I don't want to get soaked. But this is really nice. This is a nice place to camp. This nice backdrop, lovely colours at the moment on the trees, absolutely beautiful. This is what camping is all about. Autumn camping is my favourite time of year to camp. So lots of people ask me, how do I wash my pots and pans for the next day so they're clean? Well, when it's all cooled down, I literally just grab some moss, grass, whatever, give it a good clean. Doesn't matter how dirty it is, because we're going to rinse it out. It's as simple as that. You just want to get the main bits of grime out that are going to stick hard. And then that just needs a rinse with water and it's good to go. A bit of water, swish it round, turn it on its side. And that's pretty much it. Now I can have a cup of tea. So I mentioned earlier about getting a stick under this tarp because there's so much sag underneath it. I'm just going to plonk a stick just there, and that will just hopefully guide most of the water away. I'll tighten up all the guidelines afterwards, but we can lay the mat out now. So for the mat, I've got a Trekology mat. It was one of the cheaper ones. I always think you can go cheaper on a mat, but don't cheap out on a sleeping bag, because that essentially is what definitely keeps you warm. I'm going to have to cut another stick because that keeps falling down. Hence why I've bought my personal sleeping bag that I use here with me, because I don't want to be cold in the night. Temperatures can drop, especially in different areas of woodland like this one where it's kind of in a bit of a hollow. But as long as you've got something under you, mat-wise, and gets you off the ground, you can go for a cheaper one. Obviously, the more expensive ones are better. The higher the R value in them. This is a summer one because I'm trying to keep within budget. That's better. I've added about 2 inches to that. Much tighter. Have a cheeky cup of tea, I think, before it gets proper dark. Well, it got dark pretty fast. Still a little bit of light left in the sky. But you can't beat a Yorkshire tea. It just goes to show, I've done this with budget gear, like £10 from Poundland. I think I did a setup. And a lot of the gear I normally do this type of stuff with is quite a bit more expensive because I want it to last. And I've been doing it for well over nearly 2 decades, well over a decade. So I thought I'd do a mid-range one because then that hits everyone on the market. The people who love the high-end gear, the people who love the budget low-end gear, and then the people who just can't afford the high-end gear but would like better quality gear. You can do this type of setup quite easily. Obviously you can do it cheaper, but this I feel is gear that's going to last. For example, like the tarp, it's got the double stitching and well-stitched tie-out points around the whole tarp. It's quite a thick material, which I think is good. It's got good stakes that go to peg down the guy lines. All these things are things that a cheaper tarp just wouldn't have. The knife itself is actually a budget knife. It's really cheap. You could definitely go more expensive on the knife. Cook pot, again, cheap. Is actually better than some of my more expensive cook pots. That. The backpack is a backpack, it just carries the gear. And what else was there? The saw was brilliant, actually. That was really good. And the fire still, it throws sparks like a way more expensive fire still would do. All of these things, they do work. It's just getting practice with them and using them. The wind's died down, which is nice. And the rain has stopped. So hopefully we have quite a quiet night without any eventful weather patterns coming in. But it is Britain after all, so who knows? So before I put my sleeping bag down, one thing I do have is a bivvy bag. You can get all sorts of bivvy bags for really, really cheap. It's just to protect my sleeping pad here because it's an inflatable pad from all the pokey sticks below it. Otherwise, what happens is you get a sharp stick, push through the mat and it punctures it, and then you have a little bit more of a miserable night. So these bivvy bags, in fact, I'm not even going to put the mat in it because it's quite restricted. I'm just going to lay it out and put the mat on top. There. Just to stop any sleeping bag. Dark early now. These days, it's the long winter nights. It's the bit everyone hopes that their mat doesn't pop. Oh, that, do you know, this mat for a lower range mat, it's really comfy. It's not got a high R value, but it is really comfy. Boots. Ready to go if I need to. Oh. Right, folks. Fire is pretty much out. Wind is picking up a bit. Just as I said the wind was dying down, it's now picking up. No rain though, which is good. I'm going to try and chill out for the night. Might listen to an audio book if I've got signal. And yeah, I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow, where we'll continue using a bit more of the gear. Hopefully we have a good night. See you in the morning, folks. Morning everyone. I've been up for almost an hour. It was a damp night. The stick fell down and the tarp sagged, so I had to clear the water off at about maybe 4 o'clock in the morning. I think it was 4:30. So a little bit frustrating, but I did sleep the kind of majority of the night. And then, yeah, fire's just about going. Got the Water boiling now. It was a little bit of a faff to get going because it was so wet this morning. But we're here and it's cooking now, which is good. No wind this morning, which is lovely. Makes a big difference. Anyway, we're gonna get this water boiling and then get some food on. Again, it's very basic food. I've kept it simple for this trip. The colours are just absolutely beautiful at the moment. Really, really nice. Back end of autumn, it's going to be winter soon. I think the first frosts are coming next week. The first sub-zero temperatures, so it's nice to get out just before that. I mentioned breakfast would be simple. This is just some porridge oats, like instant oats. And it comes in its own pot. You just fill it up to the line. And you've got instant breakfast. Great for when you really don't want to have to faff and cook for a while. You just let the water soak into the porridge oats and eat. Very convenient. Meanwhile, the rest of the water can go for a nice warm cup of tea. Ready in 2 minutes, it says. And I don't disagree with that. Sometimes it's the simplicity, especially on wet, rainy nights like the one I just had. It's nice to not have to have a giant fire to have to cook, fry stuff, or whatever. Just to be able to boil some water and have food in 3 to 5 minutes. It's getting towards 8:30 AM. I'm going to start packing my gear away. I need to shake the tarp out because it's definitely going to have, it's got a lot of standing water on it still. Did the job though. I was quite pleased with that. And I think that's going to last a good while, that tarp, because it's got some really decent tie-up points that are really well stitched. Again, it's that time of year where I'm going to have to be hanging my gear up every time I come back home because it's constantly wet. It looks like the forecast for the next 2 weeks is pretty wet, which I guess is good for you guys because you get to watch me camping in the rain and getting soaked. But for me, it means I've got to dry the gear every time in the garage, which last year I had to do almost every week. This year, I've only just had to start doing it now, November. That's how much rain we had last year. I remember just every camping trip I had to dry the gear out. This time, what are we, middle of November? And this is the first time I've had to properly hang my gear to dry. So that's not bad going. I wonder what the winter will bring. Hopefully some snow. Right, I'm gonna finish this breakfast, get the gear packed up, let the fire burn out. Oh, and of course, cheers, cup of tea. Well, there we go. That's another camp with some kind of intermediate gear, which doesn't have to necessarily break the bank. Yes, you can go cheaper. Yes, you can go more expensive. But I just thought I'd show you what it's like camping with a kind of middle of the range setup. In last week's video, you may have seen me mention at the end that I have been putting together a YouTube school, basically an online class on how to grow a YouTube channel, how to start a YouTube channel, how to find your niche, all of my best camera and filming tips, how to run YouTube as a business and grow it as a business so that you can either go part-time or full-time. It's coming up next year, my 10th year on YouTube, which is on full-time YouTube, that is, which is just incredible. I think it's my 16th year overall. If you are interested in this sort of thing, then there's a link in the description to the TA Academy, which is where it will be hosted on my website, taoutdoors.com. And if you just pop your email in there, then you will get some information of when it's going to launch. So you'll get it to know before everyone else does. And also those that sign up will get a discount on the course as well, which will already be discounted when it launches, but you'll get even more of a discount if you pop your email in the box below. And I'm not going to spam you, don't worry. It's a genuine thing that I've passed on 10 years worth of, well, 16 years worth of YouTube knowledge into this course. And it's been a labor of love. It's taken 3 months or so to do, but I think you guys will really enjoy it. And it's just the start. There's going to be more stuff coming out on the TA Academy too down the line, which will be bushcraft, survival, fishing, loads of really cool things that are coming out on that. And also thank you to Original Grain for sponsoring the episode. Don't forget, you can get $50 off any watch that you order from their website. Use the code TA Outdoors, and I'll put a link in the description below, and it will take you straight to their website. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next episode.